Good morning. It's McCollum on Business. Of course, on Tuesdays, coming at you live here before you leave for work, 7 a.m. is what we do here for McCollum on Business on Tuesdays. Appreciate you joining us, of course, for the next 30 minutes or so. I'm Stephen McCollum, and I'll get you updated on what's happening around the business world here this morning. We finished up yesterday's show, which is at 11 o'clock. Come into this morning, and a lot happens overnight here, getting ready for these morning shows. Of course, after today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we go back to 11, but we really enjoy these morning shows, and I know you do as well. We see the numbers out there as well and appreciate it very much, but I don't want to waste your time at all. Let's get into it with that Market Watch. Of course, everything is just kind of futures right now. Market doesn't open until 7:30 a.m. our time. That we're looking at here, and I can tell you this, everything is close to even right now. Some are teetering on a negative side, like the Dow Jones is going back and forth between positive and negative here with the futures. Dow futures, you see they're up 9 points right now. S&P 500 futures up 1 point right now as well. The NASDAQ, our link is broken. It's the company we use. We're going to get that fixed here hopefully soon. It's up 10 points. The NASDAQ futures are up 10 points here this morning as well. The Russell 2K futures up 4 points as we're talking. And then there's Bitcoin. Look at this. Back down under 70,000 here today. 68,959 for Bitcoin as the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin questions continue to rave on. And I'm not sure where this is going to go. It is right on the edge. And anybody pulls out big money at this point, and this could really shock that cryptocurrency market coming up as well. So stocks we're paying attention to here earlier this morning. Stocks that are doing things here in pre-market. First one we're going to look at is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. Of course, a big Taiwanese company, but has a big plan up there at I-17 and the 303, and it's up 1.88% as of right now here. It closed yesterday at 1.88% up yesterday is where it closed. And then you see the kind of uptick there as the market's closed. Well, it rose about 3% here in pre-market trading. Taiwan Semiconductor posted its highest monthly revenue ever. Its January revenue was up $401.3 billion. And that's new Taiwanese dollars, by the way. That's up 37% from the same quarter just last year. Yeah, record revenue here for Taiwan Semiconductor. Pre-market, well, it's up about 3% here today as well as we're waiting for the market to open. Next up in pre-market, big movements is CVS Health that we're paying attention to as well. You know, this is the retail pharmacy company. They closed yesterday down 3.29%, and then it continued going down in pre-market trading as well. It's down 2% here in this pre-market trading. They maintained its 2026 revenue guidance, which they say is going to be about $400 billion. Well, analysts are expecting revenue of $409.77 billion. And they just reaffirmed that they're going to finish up at the 400 underneath that amount. CVS also shared its full-year guidance for cash from operations. They say that's going to be at least $9 billion. Well, that's down from prior guidance, which was around $10 billion in prior guidance. And then it's even worse because the consensus estimates out there is $10.59 billion. So the cash flow came back about $1 billion less in terms of their guidance as well. However, their company did have fourth quarter earnings and revenue did beat the analyst estimates out there. It's just their guidance are there. So yesterday it finished down 3.29%. It's down another 2% here in pre-market trading, CVS Health, on those guidance numbers being reduced or at least maintained or reduced depending on what we're looking at. And then also in pre-market, Coca-Cola is making waves out there. Yesterday, interesting enough, down 1.34% at the end of the day. And you see the big drop there after the markets close. Yes, it's down about 3% right now in pre-market. Coca-Cola reported a fourth quarter revenue miss. And the bigger problem is they're forecasting only modest growth coming up here in 2026. Their adjusted revenue came in at $11.82 billion. Well, the estimate was $12.03 billion by the analyst out there. Their adjusted earnings of 58 cents per share actually did top the estimates out there As well, the estimates were 56 cents going into that. So revenue was the big miss there for them. And then modest growth projections, keeping them down about 3% here in pre-market. They did say, Coca-Cola, that they project organic revenue growth of 4 to 5%. And they said comparable earnings per share growth of 7 to 8% for the full year is what they are looking forward to. And markets here, pre-market, 3% down for Coca-Cola right now. When we come back later on and look at the market here, we usually look at it right about 7:30 as the market's getting ready to open. We're going to look at a local company here in Phoenix, On Semiconductor. Upwork, that's that online marketplace where freelancers go to get work. I'm going to look at their stock and also the U.S.-based stocks here of Ferrari as they're making some exciting moves, I guess we can say, and at least in terms of the U.S. stock market as well. But interesting news here is we're just breaking right now as the show was coming on. Well, two breaking news. One, Paramount is sweetening that Warner Brothers Discovery bid, but they did not raise its per share value at all from Paramount Plus, Paramount, who's trying to do the hostile takeover here instead of Netflix getting Warner Brothers Discovery. That's breaking right now. And then also, December retail sales were flat as they even missed expectations out there. Don't have the exact numbers yet as that's just hitting the market right now. Have to keep our eyes on that there, but we do know December retail sales were flat. Not a good sign here for retailers, right? Here, obviously, the holiday season. So those are two breaking stories. And overnight, we did find out, of course, we've been talking about Novo Nordisk a lot here lately, last week and this week, where they threatened to sue him and hers for ripping off that Wegovy pill drug out there. And now, yesterday, the FDA, they sent a letter to Novo Nordisk, and they told them that their TV advertisement for that Wegovy pill, which is newly launched out there, it included, quote, false or misleading claims, is what they flat out said in the letter, about the medicine's ability and benefits to patients. So, like I said, this letter was dated February 5th, and the FDA said the ad misbrands the drug and what it can do for you. So they say making this ad and the distribution of the ad a violation of federal law. The agency requested, the FDA did at least, that the drug maker take immediate action to address the violations, and which they're I can just tell you right now, they're hoping and they're telling them to basically seize all ads containing these misleading claims. So this was not the company's Super Bowl spot. They did not run the ads in that spot, but it was from the pill's inception just a few weeks ago until the Super Bowl. It was the main ad out there as well. Interesting enough, how many people got on this? Instead of the shot, right, you got the pill for weight loss. Novo last week said more than 170,000 American people are already taking the pill form of this weight loss drug. So it's a lot of people on it early. Now they got this letter here saying, you guys are misleading people. Yeah, so just take down the ads and stop misleading people. But wanted to make you aware of that if you saw those ads and what they were talking about. And we talked last week, right? Uber was in a big trial here in Phoenix, a kind of a trial that's going to set up the stage for future lawsuits and current lawsuits out there that are going to move forward. And Uber lost that trial in terms of they had to pay that $8.5 million to the person who was sexually assaulted by one of the Uber drivers. Well, we have another one of those test cases going on, this time with social media companies as well. So obviously Meta and Google, Meta owns Instagram, Google owns YouTube out there. And both of those two companies are in a lawsuit that has started, and they face claims that their platforms deliberately addict and harm children. By the way, TikTok and Snap was part of this deal as well, but they were in the lawsuit. Well, they settled this lawsuit as well for undisclosed sums. They didn't want to get to the jury trial. But jurors did get their first look here into what will be a lengthy trial characterized by dueling narratives, obviously. So, one will say you're addictive and you're hurting kids, and obviously the companies will say, no, we don't. Yeah, Meta's lawyer out there did spoke of the disagreement within the specific community, or excuse me, scientific community over social media addiction. So he went straight to scientists and what they say about addiction with these social media sites. Some experts out there say that there is no such thing as addiction, or that addiction is not the most appropriate way to describe heavy social media use. Okay. Yeah, that's their argument, right? Well, the plaintiff's lawyer was had a different viewpoint of this as well. He obviously goes first. He presented the jurors with a slew of internal emails, documents, and studies that were actually conducted by Meta and YouTube themselves, and even Google. The plaintiff's lawyer did emphasize the findings of a study Meta conducted themselves, and that study was called Project Mist. They surveyed 1,000 teens and their parents about their social media use. The two major findings from that Meta study itself were that the company knew children who experienced adverse events like trauma and stress, well, they were particularly vulnerable for addiction, and that parental supervision and controls made very little impact. Trying to stop them from using those sites. That's a Meta study itself. The plaintiff's attorney also showed internal Google documents that likened some company products to a casino. An internal communication between Meta employees and another person on Instagram. Well, they said it was, quote, like a drug, was their terms that they used. And they also said that employees are, quote, basically pushers, unquote, of that drug. So, I mean, these are internal. I think these are damning internal documents. But this case, I told you about this case before, but it's based on that 20-year-old girl out there. Her case, basically she was addicted to it, went the suicide route, etc. Now coming to this side and suing these companies for realizing that they did a lot of damage, right, growing up. But this case could determine how thousands of others similar lawsuits against social media companies, how they're going to go. If she loses miserably, horribly in this, well, nobody's going to go after these companies as often. If she wins this lawsuit, I'm going to see a lot more lawsuits against these companies as well. This 20-year-old and two other plaintiffs have been selected because of the test trials out there, right? They're test cases for both sides to see other arguments play out before a jury. So it's a big trial here for these companies, and let's keep our eyes on this as it's going to be several a week trial from what I was reading yesterday as well, but it is officially underway. And some more news out there. We talk a lot about layoffs here on the show. And we try to cut them back, folks, but they're everywhere. Now we got to talk a little bit about Target as well, because Target's going to restructure parts of its organization. They're going to eliminate about 500 roles. Of course, Target has a new CEO coming in to kind of improve this company and get it up and running more efficiently. Now, I guess the good news is, if you're not part of the cuts, is it's nothing on a store level. The cuts include about 400 positions against the supply chain operations and about 100 roles at the store district level. So as I said, higher up levels, but no store level jobs will be affected for the out there. Some of the regional offices will actually be closed in this process. Target said the organizational changes are intended to allow it itself to redirect investment into its stores. So they're saying they can give more labor and hours to their stores with these cuts. And then also new guest experience training for employees are coming your way. Store workers, they're not going to see any changes in terms of wages and starting wages. That's going to stay the same, but maybe more hours for you out there and things to that effect. So Target with their new CEO making some changes here, of course, as he's been on the side. And speaking of CEOs that make changes and not always the brightest way, last week Chipotle announced in their earnings, I think it was last week or the week before, where they said, Chipotle said that their foot traffic is down. Their same-store sales are flat. And that's been that way for several quarters for Chipotle, right? And then it comes out that the CEO there, his name's Scott Boatwright, if you're interested. Well, they say that, he had some leak audio go out there. And he actually said in that leaked audio that the company would begin focusing on customers who make more than $100,000 per year. What that instantly does to you, if you hear that and you're in the business world, is it says we can raise prices and people will pay it. That's what that says. Yeah, this was during an earnings recent call. Boatwright said 60% of customers earn more than $100,000 a year, and that he wants to, quote, lean into that group in a more meaningful way, unquote. Now, he didn't say anything about pricing, but that's the inference that people read when you say, hey, our clientele's rich, let's raise prices. Chipotle has launched a new high-protein menu which of course is higher pricing. And that's to match the demand for clean food and ingredients, as well as for high protein. The chief financial officer of Chipotle did come out during that same call and said consumers can expect menu prices to increase 1 to 2%. But they say that's amid rising food and labor expenses, is why you would see that increase out there. Now, of course, a lot of backlash on this because, as I said, they have lower foot traffic and same store sales are flat. So you want to grow your business, you would think, as you continue to have those issues that kind of hurt profitability and growth. No. This gives the impression they don't want you to eat there unless you can afford the higher prices, right? But Boatwright, after the backlash here of the last day or so, he has attempted to clarify the misinformation, he says, that is surrounding the pricing controversy that he started in leaked audio. He told Yahoo Finance yesterday that 60% of our consumers' average household income is over $100,000 a year. And he said they're still spending in this tough economy. The CFO came out and said no pricing was even discussed in this. You guys are inferring pricing increases to get the more pricing side of things as well. So they're backtracking a little bit and trying to make it sound better. But I think Chipotle's ruined a lot of stuff. And I told you before with beef prices, we're spending as consumers. We're buying the beef prices and the that are high astronomical record rates right now. And we're buying it and not hurting the demand at all. All that's doing is it's teaching these companies, like Chipotle, it's the same thing. If you're in there buying their stuff and everything at the current prices, they know that they can raise them a little bit and you'll still keep going. We're just training these companies to keep raising that money, raising that pricing out there. And Chipotle is obviously on board with that. And, it is interesting. And then if you use ChatGPT at all, well, you saw this yesterday as it effectively went into effect yesterday. But OpenAI said that the testing of ads there with ChatGPT users in the U.S., now these are the free and go subscription tiers is where you get these ads. But it is now officially going to have ads, folks. Started yesterday. By the way, it's not just the free plan has ads, but so does the go subscription. And I was sitting there going, man, the Go subscription is a paid one. Yeah, it is. It costs $8 a month. But even on the Go, because you're spending in the lowest tier, you're going to get ads there as well. If you remember, OpenAI said back in January that it would start piloting ads as the company looks for ways to monetize its widely used chatbot, number one used chatbot out there. Now, it's not going to be number one for long. Other companies like Anthropic are kind of catching it as well. But the subscription fees for premium users are another thing that are obviously going into effect and raising. So customers who pay for Plus, Pro, Business, and Enterprise, even the education subscription tier, will not see ads when using ChatGPT. So the free and go, you will. How it's going to look for you if you didn't use it yesterday and you log in today, ChatGPT they'll clearly indicate which content is an advertisement and which one is the AI-generated answer to your user query out there. Ads will be tailored to users' prompt histories and other factors. The advertisers, they say, will not have access to your history. Only OpenAI will, or ChatGPT will have access to that. Tell me if you believe that twice, right? OpenAI says it does decide to show ads by matching ads submitted by advertisers with the topic of your conversation. So your past chats and past interactions with ads. And like I said, they say the advertisers won't have access to that, just they will, and that's how they determine it. So for instance, if you're looking for groceries or a recipe, for instance, well, you might see an ad for like one of those Home Chefs or one of those pre-meal companies that send you the meals out there. That's how they're going to do it. There was a famous ad leading up to the Super Bowl from Anthropic, their AI, where they were making fun of ChatGPT and their ads being in their system. And OpenAI had to respond to that pretty quickly as well. And then they actually delayed the implementation of the ads a day till Monday as well. So we'll have to see if people start using out there. OpenAI is not the best, and ChatGPT is not the best AI system out there in terms of what they do. They're just the most popular. So will this get people to move away from them? Well, we'll have to wait and see here coming up as well. And folks, here on this morning McCollum on Business, we have fun here on these Tuesday morning shows. See you guys on there right now watching us live. We appreciate that. And of course, We 11 o'clock rest of the week. We're going to make a decision soon here. We got some things going on to move the show permanently to the mornings or do in the afternoons. My dream is to have a morning and an afternoon business show. Obviously, I have another host come in and do the one of the other ones there, so I'm not doing them both. But there's something we're working on here as well. But we'll make that decision coming up, and it's all based off of your feedback out there. And let's come on back here, and we'll look at the market again here. Market opens at 7:30, so we're 9 minutes away from the market opening here on this Tuesday. Look at the stocks, of course, local company on semiconductor, local stories coming up as well. And I got some interesting Bad Bunny news from the Super Bowl. If you couldn't understand it, well, a lot of people tried to figure it out in the moment. I'll tell you about that here in just a second. Come on back, McCollum on Business. And we're back here for the morning McCollum on Business. Appreciate you joining me. Of course, we love doing this morning show and rest of the week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday right now. We're at 11 a.m. For our normal live time. We do the morning Tuesdays one, testing it out here. We've been doing it for over a month now and enjoy it very much. We see you guys following us live and on demand as well, so appreciate that. Don't forget, as soon as we're done here, it gets up at YouTube, of course. Follow our production page on YouTube for your on-demand as well. And then, of course, goes up on Robat TV. The Real Matrix, well, big announcement there yesterday. If you missed that, of course, on demand every Friday here at Robat TV. 10 a.m. is when the new episode comes up of the Real Matrix. Then, noon, podcast systems as well. Your favorite podcast, just search the Real Matrix. It pops up for you as well if you'd rather listen to it out there, free, of course. And then it is now, because of some YouTube issues that it has, it is now up on Rumble for those of you with Rumble subscriptions out there for on demand as well, folks. So that is over there. TME Media is our production company's name. Search for it there, or the Real Matrix has its own channel underneath TME Media there on Rumble. So that's where you can see that on demand. We're going to still have some stuff for the Real Matrix on our production YouTube page. Just we have to cut it up a little bit and do it a little bit different. So that's coming up to be updated here shortly as well. But Fridays, 10 a.m. here, Robat TV, when it's on demand. And then, of course, Rumble and a free podcast later on in the day at noon as well. The Real Matrix, the main event coming up here, 8 to 10 a.m. Me and Dale Hellestrade. No Bruce Cooper today. He'll be in on Friday this week. Had another event he had to take care of here this morning. But me and Dale will get you updated on not just the Olympics, Arizona basketball, big loss last night there at Kansas. We'll talk about that and so much more. Join us for all your sports coverage here from 8 to 10 a.m. live, of course, on demand. Free podcast system at TME Sports Show. Follow us on the social medias at TME Sports Show as well, folks. We appreciate everything you guys do to support us here. And share us with your friends, if you will. We'd appreciate that. And with all that being said, oh, by the way, the pit stop. Brand new episode, 2026 race season. Well, it gets underway tomorrow, Wednesday. About 2 o'clock, we'll have that show uploaded here on demand here at Robot TV, the YouTube page, and free podcast system for the the pit stop. Of course, follow me on X as well at the Pit Stop Talk for all of the updates during the racing season. Daytona 500s this week will set the scene for the season. We'll look into what happened in the offseason as well, kind of review that. Look ahead to the Daytona 500 this weekend, but Pit Stop is back this week for the 2026 racing seasons out there. IndyCar gets it away in March here coming up, so a few more weeks for that. But, folks, it all gets going here this weekend. So tomorrow, Wednesday, the Pit Stop coming up your way. And now let's get into that Market Watch. Market opens here at 7:30, so we have a few minutes here coming up before the market's actually open. So as you can see, Dow Jones right now, the futures trading at 50,177 for the Dow futures. Why is that important? Well, that is a new record here for the Dow. When it closed under 50,000 at the end of last week for the first time, staying above that number there. And, everything basically is flat today here in the futures side of it. Even the NASDAQ, it's up 37 points right now for the futures. Our link is broken. You'll just have to trust me on that. But everything's basically flat here. We'll see what it does once the market opens. It'll be interesting to see if the Dow, with these records that the Dow is hitting, does it keep going up? Is there some sell-off to kind of knock it down here? We're hitting that record number of these last couple of days. We'll have to pay attention to that. But then there's Bitcoin getting closer to the 70,000 level here this morning. It was at 68,000 when we looked at it at the top of the show, but it's at 69,187 right now. Is just kind of the question mark around Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies is still out there. Stocks we're paying attention to as we're waiting for the market to open here for pre-market movement on semiconductors, the first stock that we are going to look at right now. Now, they're a semiconductor supplier is what On Semiconductor is. And the pre-market here, they closed yesterday 0.15% down. And then they went 5% down in pre-market trading here as well. Their sales declined in its two biggest businesses. It posted fourth quarter revenue of $1.53 billion. Well, the estimate was $1.54 billion. They did, however, 64 cents per share on earnings. That did top the forecasted amount of 62 cents per share. But the biggest one here is sales declined in its two biggest businesses. Market didn't like that here in pre-market. We'll have to see what On Semiconductor does here as the market's opening at 7:30 and throughout the day. Next up, the online marketplace for freelancers. It's called Upwork. If you're a freelance person out there, you're writing, etc., you're probably familiar with the site. Closed yesterday down 0.74%. And is down huge in pre-market, 24% down as of right now. It's obviously probably going to open down as well here when the market opens at 7:30 Phoenix time. Well, Upwork disclosed active clients at the end of 2025. They say it was 785,000 active clients on this site. Well, what's the problem with that? Because that's a lot of people, Steve. Well, it's down from 832,000 at the end of the prior year. That's a big drop there in terms of clients and people on Upwork. Upwork also posted current quarter revenue guidance in the range of $192 to $197 million. That's well below the $201 million estimate that the Wall Street was looking for from Upwork as well. Current quarter adjusted earnings guidance, well, it also missed estimates. That's why here in the pre-market, down 24% for Upwork. And obviously, when the market opens here in 1 minute, it's probably going to open up down as well. We'll have to see what Upwork does here today. And then the U.S. shares of a little company called Ferrari out there. Now, obviously, luxury Italian car maker, and they have their own stock market, obviously, and over in Milan and or Italy and stuff to that effect. But you can see it finished yesterday 0.70%. Up yesterday. Well, in pre-market trading here, this is a U.S. version of it, by the way, 8% up here today. Big jump up. They recorded fourth quarter earnings and revenue, and it ended up being a beat over estimates. Ferrari also delivered full year 2026 earnings and revenue guidance. Well, it was in line with the expectations. So Ferrari, the U.S. stock of Ferrari, they're up 8% here in pre-market trading. as the market is officially opening here at 7:30 here this morning, right now as well. And it takes a little bit for the service we use to get caught up once the market opens, so we don't get direct updates right away, at least in terms of the graphs. But at the end of the show here for these morning shows, I do kind of tell you what the market's doing as it opens. But right now, basically, all the futures are flat. Bitcoin is down. It's under 70,000 as of right now, as we're looking at going into the start here of the market. And folks, let's get into some Super Bowl talk here as we're kind of just wrapping up the business around the Super Bowl. And we all know Bad Bunny sang at halftime, regardless of your political stance on it, whether you liked it or not what we talk about here. But interesting enough that, it was, I think he said, what, 3 or 4 words in English during the whole halftime show and everything. Well, many people who had no idea what he was saying because they don't speak the Spanish language, well, they were looking to learn, at least during halftime, and at least according to Duolingo, the language app service or language learning app. Yeah, they said Duolingo said it saw a jump in Spanish learning activity during that halftime show. So I wonder if he's an investor in that company. The app says there was a large spike at halftime, and it represented a 35% increase over normal Spanish language learners that are on the site. Also, they actually tracked it that once the Super Bowl started, like nobody was on their app, and then halftime happened, and boom, everybody got on it to try to figure out what was being said out there. So interesting there. Now I can tell you that was at the halftime, right? They even put a social media post out where they said, "Is this kind of what it's like to have a one night stand?" Because people got off the site again after the halftime show. Now, how many of those people are going to go back and start to try to learn Spanish? It's kind of the question that you got. Was it just a blip because of the halftime? Probably, but a 35% increase, folks, during halftime by itself. Now let's talk a little bit about a Scottsdale-based company here, and it's an interval fund, which just is, kind of a combination where people put money into it and invest it. But that interval fund is operated by a Scottsdale-based company called Accelerant Ventures. Well, we just found out today as well that, by the way, stock market open, first thing out there, stocks tick higher is the headline here. Dow reaches that new record, and they're going up here to start. Is the headline here as the market's opening. But anyway, I digress here. Excellent Ventures and that fund that they have, it's investing in SpaceX officially now. So that's going to provide retail investors access to one of the largest, space companies out there. And it could go, SpaceX, as we know, is going to go public this year as well. Not only that, but SpaceX is bringing in the XAI company as well into their ventures. So Accelerant Ventures closed an undisclosed secondary investment in SpaceX in early February, according to them. Now, they did it through their Jetstream Venture Fund is how they invested in it. Accelerant Ventures announced the investment on February 4th, which coincided with national launch of Jetstream Ventures Fund. Yes, that fund, the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission declared effective back in October of last year. So Scottsdale Company getting, at least investing into the space race out there as well. And that's, like I said, going to help retail investors get access to SpaceX as well. And now let's go over to Tempe here from Scottsdale. Go down a little bit. And we talked to you before about Tempe City Council looking to, spike drinks and what they're going to do about it. And is there anything they can do about it? Well, the Tempe City Council unanimously passed that ordinance officially now. Now it's going to require businesses to provide drink spiking test kits. So if you need one. So this comes after months of meetings, public input. We've talked about it a lot here at McCollum on Business. Now, council member Randy Keating, he's the chair of the Drink Spiking Education and Prevention Council Subcommittee, which of course is kind of rushing this or putting this bill through the Tempe legislature. He said he heard from stakeholders and colleagues about updating the ordinance. So this revised ordinance pushes the implementation date up to August of this year. It does require lab-certified testing kits that are, commercially available, and now these bars have to have them inside of their establishments as well. The city of Tempe also plans to promote public outreach to inform and educate the community about drink spiking. And if you're too old to know what that is, that's when people put things in the drink to get you woozy and put your guard down and stuff to that effect out there. So not going to go into effect until August, of course, correlating with the new ASU school year and everything. But something coming down the pipeline there, unanimously passed there by the Tempe City Council. And finally here, we'll go back to Phoenix here as well. And there's a lot of opposition from a Best Western in the area, but Phoenix City Council unanimously approved that luxury condominium development up there by the Arizona Biltmore. And close to that, and the Wrigley Mansion, I think, are kind of in that same area up there in Phoenix. So it's a company called JDM Partners LLC. Jerry Colangelo, of course, a famous name here in Arizona with what he's done in the sports world and everything else, is the head of that company. It's a proposed development at 2400 East Arizona Biltmore Circle, if you want to know where it's at. They received a lot, the city council received tons of letters of support for this to be built. But like I said, the Best Western Hotel next door or down the road from it, not as happy to have it be installed. They were a big opponent to this going through as well. So they did talk to many times with the neighbors, to the dissenting neighbors, to address their concerns on this being built there. But Phoenix City Council now approving this building. Now, the opposition did kind of work, I guess. Now, it's still being built there, but condominium units, square footage of office space was reduced as kind of like the negotiation here to get this put together and everything going forward. But City of Phoenix has approved that condominium space there for Jerry Colangelo as well out there. So, as I said, markets opened up here at 7:30. First thing that popped up, stocks tick higher. Dow reaches new record here early this morning as well. Let's see here. Dow Jones right now is up 198 points to 50,334. S&P's actually down about 1 point. NASDAQ's down 47 points here at the opening. Russell 2K's up 18 points right now for that small cap index. So Dow's higher at least. S&P and NASDAQ basically flat there as we get opening here this season. Coming up here at 8 o'clock, the main event. Come and join us, folks, either live or on demand. We appreciate it very much. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on McCollum on Business, 11 o'clock. See you then, everybody.